So Democrats have launched yet another campaign to sabotage X, and a popular left-wing commentator has officially called on the Biden administration to ban X. You guys, there is a lot going on here. We're going to be unpacking everything in just 1 second, but before we do, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Sorry for the lack of content this week. I flew out of town to film some street videos. I think you guys are going to really enjoy those. And then as soon as I got back, got sick, so I'm still dealing with that. Whatever. Anyways, this video is sponsored by my good friends over at DealDash. Huge shout out to them. We'll talk about them a little bit more in a bit. So, from the post-millennial, liberals call for Biden administration to ban X by using government order in true 2023 liberal fashion. Just, hey, we don't like this going on. We don't like this free speech happening. just get rid of it. It was, it's also the guns, it's the speech, it's the everything, it seems like. Just the world is falling apart. They're trading freedom for this perceived level of safety. They go on to say, far-left media watchdog group Media Matters issued a report doubling down on claims that Elon Musk and the X platform at large are anti-Semitic. Are you guys shocked about that? Right? You guys weren't expecting the left to start accusing Twitter/X of being racist, sexist, bigot, homophobic, and anti-Semitic once Elon Musk took over. No, this is just shocking. The platform dedicated to free speech has been accused of hosting anti-Semitic content. Media Matters found advertising accompanying posts that contained anti-Semitic content. X has been a target of censors since Musk took over the platform and declared that free speech was a guiding principle of the enterprise. Now, I'm going to jump over to Keith Olbermann's rant before we jump more into that, just because I want to make sure that you guys can see this 1-minute clip that he dropped actually on X. You'll hear him kind of allude to that here.
It is time for the government of the United States to ban X, the social media site still largely known as Twitter. And yes, I get the irony. Scan that QR code to take you directly to the Friday edition of the Countdown podcast, because with his amplification of a post duplicating the hateful language of the Pittsburgh synagogue shooter, with his doubling and tripling down on anti-Semitism and white supremacy, and with the likely Republican nominee for president echoing the hate speech of the Nazis and Hitler, Elon Musk is standing over a tinderbox of racial and religious hatred and intolerance, and the targeting of the quote other unquote that has never been fuller and never been drier in the history of this country. The peace and security of the United States of America is literally at stake. The president or Congress or the states or all of them acting together must ban Twitter X and sever all contracts and contacts with all of Elon Musk's other companies, SpaceX, Tesla, The Boring Company, Neuralink, and XAI. Elon Musk has gone down a path of hate and potential violence from which he cannot backtrack. Either he goes or Twitter X must.
It's like a broken record with these people. Every single time you allow some level of freedom or fight for some level of freedom, you're just labeled whatever they just want to throw at it. Oh, Nazi, anti-Semitic, racist, whatever it is. Just everything. It's so typical. And I love how he brought up Donald Trump in there without naming his name, because you'll notice a lot of these people, I talk to people on the street too, they'll basically say he who shall not be named, because they've been trained by the media to stop saying his name. That's just insane. Could you imagine not saying Obama's name or Biden's name or something like that? It's like, just grow up. You have him bringing up Donald Trump, who is the most pro-Israel president in American history. So funny that he brings that up. All right, you guys, let's take a few moments to talk about today's sponsor, DealDash. Now, I know many of you are already bidding on DealDash, but for those of you who don't know, DealDash is an auction website that many people either seem to love or hate. If you've seen their ads on TV at any point during the last 15 years, you'll know that they have thousands of auctions every day with brand new items. Right here's just a handful of items that are up for auction today. We have a Sony ZVE1, which actually I'm using a ZVE10 right now. It's Nintendo Switch. It's not uncommon to see iPads selling for 10 to 15 bucks on this website. I'll show you guys something as an example. We have an iPhone 15. This sold for $57.07. That is ridiculous. So you're probably wondering, okay, what's the catch? Because this just seems absurd. Well, you have to pay for the right to bid. I'll explain. Right here, they'll ask you to buy 220 bids for $30, which means you can bid 220 times in any of their auctions. Now, every auction starts at $0 with no minimum reserve price, and every time you bid, you can at most raise the price by a penny. After you bid, the auction timer counts down by 10 seconds, and if nobody bids in the next 10 seconds, you win the auction. So DealDash hooked me up with some bids. Let's go ahead and find some items to bid on. So right here we have a stainless steel casserole pot. We need that. I'm gonna go ahead and hit bid right here. So I'm the highest bidder up at the top. All right here we have a DJI Mini 3 Pro drone. We're gonna go ahead and hit bid. And I'm in the lead, top one, zombie. Oh gosh, no, bid. That's right, we're in the lead. So you guys check out DealDash.com. When you sign up, use my offer code Klug100 and you'll get 100 free bids on your first bid pack purchase. And if you don't win an auction using these bids, or you just don't like it for any reason, contact DealDash and they'll give you your money back, no questions asked, so the downsides are pretty limited. It's worth a shot. You guys do me a favor and check out DealDash.com/Klug100. Take advantage of this deal. I'll put a link down in the description below. Let's get back on this video. But what is he talking about here? That's what we're gonna be talking about, because yes, he's talking about, hey, get the government involved and just ban X. That sentiment's not unpopular, I would argue, among the modern left wing. We have Pew Research right here, just really quickly. I did a video on this earlier this year. Democrats have become much more supportive than Republicans, much more, of the government restricting false information online. U.S. government should take steps to restrict false information online, even if it limits freedom of information. Republicans, 2023, 39% say yes. Those, I just don't even know what those people are thinking, but hey, they probably just call themselves Republicans. They don't think much of it. A lot of people do that. Same with Democrats. And for Democrats, 70% saying yes, absolutely. It can't go wrong. The federal government getting involved. No, not that's a great idea. Policing speech online, 100%. So this sort of rhetoric, right, is probably not wildly unpopular. All you have to say is, oh, well, it's Elon Musk is anti-Semitic and he's racist, and repeating Nazi talking points, and you'll get your base on board with that. You have their popular commentators that are getting on board with that. It doesn't take much work for them to stand behind something as egregious as the federal government stepping in and banning X, the only free speech social media platform that the United States has when it comes to, mainstream social media platform that the United States has. So we talked about how Media Matters recently released a hit piece and talking about how the platform at large is anti-Semitic and they have advertisers along posts that are anti-Semitic, right? An executive from X told the Financial Times that ads follow the people on X, in this case, the Media Matters researcher, that was going to actively look for this type of content. So they're going around X trying to find some certain type of content. The ads follow that user around. That's how user targeting works. As it relates to the platform itself, control settings are in place there for every user and every brand. And to show you guys what they're talking about here, we have this post right here accusing X placing ads for brands like Apple, Bravo, IBM, Oracle, you get it, next to this type of material. Now, keep in mind, these ads are basically targeting the individual user. So you'll have, I don't want to get too into this because I'll provide the context here, but I don't want to get to it because this might be a little bit spicy for YouTube. But essentially it's pretty anti-Semitic content, and then you'll have an ad next to it. This is something they probably need to work on. I'm sure it's incredibly difficult for the algorithm to figure out what exactly is anti-Semitic, because they could just be alluding to stuff and adding an image or whatever it may be, and an ad popping up for the individual that's watching. Because if you're working at Media Matters, maybe you just have your accounts in the clear, and one day you're scrolling, or a couple days you're scrolling through a bunch of content, maybe not liking stuff, but just scrolling through, and pretty much what it looks like is a Media Matters person, and keep in mind these are hardcore activists, they're not doing this for TikTok, they're not doing that, I mean, there's no shortage of anti-Semitic content on TikTok, believe me. They're not doing this for TikTok, they're not doing this for Facebook, they're not doing this for Instagram. They're doing this for X because that's who they're targeting. That's who they're not able to control. So they're fixated on X until they find an ad. Ooh, awesome, we found an ad. Let's go ahead and screenshot that. Just for our article that's targeting Elon Musk, trying to scare away advertisers. And by the way, scaring away advertisers absolutely does work. Apple suspended all advertising on X, joining IBM, Lionsgate, and the European Commission. This is the real goal here. There are groups, there are activist groups that are spending every single day working on how to basically demonetize X, take away all of their sponsors. They've already done this before, and they're going to keep doing it. Now, of course, X keeps recovering. They keep making adjustments because the standard that the left wing is holding them to is virtually impossible to, it's like a god tier standard. They can't possibly not have a mistake on the platform or a sponsor next to some maybe dicey material for a certain period of time. This post right here from X News Daily analysis: the root cause of X having anti-Semitic content next to ads seems to be that X's automated ad adjacency tools aren't able to determine if the content in images is anti-Semitic. Additionally, X's recent decision to help users monetize on ads that run on users' profiles is also the culprit. So there's some complications there. Is the platform completely anti-Semitic? No, they're allowing free speech. That's what's happening. I know a lot of you guys in the comments might say, oh, they're not completely allowing free speech. I think most of us would argue they're doing a pretty decent job. In fact, the only platform that I can truly say isn't going to be heavily censoring a lot of content that's out there. They'll actually allow, from what I've seen, truth to prevail on a platform. And they seem to be doing their best. It's not perfect at all, but it's better than Facebook or what Instagram allows. It's way better. Media Matters is just scrolling down on user profiles of anti-Semitic accounts until they see an ad. That's literally what's happening here. There's no good faith argument going on here. There's no even patrolling of Facebook or Instagram or YouTube and then X. No. This is a focus on X, sabotage X, take them down. Or as Keith Olbermann puts it, just have the federal government ban them because they're not cooperating quite like our other social media companies that are left-wing friendly. Actually, just not even left-wing friendly, just literally just tools for the left wing. Now, there's one more part added to all of this, and this is what's adding to this entire backlash, is we have right here another article from Post Millennial. Breaking: Drudge Report smears Elon Musk, falsely claims he said he wants Jews killed. This is pretty egregious from Drudge Report. They used to be good. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they're pretty much garbage now. Musk: Jews getting what they deserve. Drudge Report. Well, I looked into it. So Elon Musk says, you have said the actual truth. Now, what is he responding to? Let's go ahead and just trace this back to the beginning. We have a video right here posted by Charles Weber saying, to the cowards hiding behind the anonymity of the internet and posting Hitler was right. You got something you want to say? Why don't you say it to our faces? Let's go ahead and check out this video really quick.
I saw what you've been posting. Hitler was right. I didn't teach you that. You hide behind your screen, spewing all this hatred and ugliness. You got something you want to say? Get out of the truck and say it to their faces.
I mean, pretty intense commercial, right? Well, absolutely. Emotional, for sure. I'm going to go a layer deep really quick. So a lot of these organizations tend to have a left-leaning view, and, you know, it's a little white racist kid from like Midwest or something. The overwhelming majority of anti-Semitism and like actual hate crimes in the United States are in metropolitan areas in Jewish communities. It's not going to look like that, really. I hate these topics that we all just have to pretend like, oh yeah, that's what anti-Semitism looks like in the United States. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. Of course, there are white, young, stupid online trolls that exist in the United States, of course. However, when it comes to the overwhelming majority of hate crimes against Jewish people and all that, it's just an inaccurate representation. But we all just have to pretend like that's the way it is, you know? So, it's just tiring. Anyways, aside from that, good ad. But this is the response right here, okay? It says, okay, Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. I'm deeply disinterested in giving the tiniest crap now about Western Jewish populations coming to the disturbing realization that those hordes of minorities that support flooding their country don't exactly like them too much. You want truth said to your face? There it is. So just right off the bat, one thing that I guess just kind of bothers me that I'll have to bring up is the generalization. I know it's we can generalize, and usually speaking in generalizations is just easier, but for this case, probably a little bit of specifics would help. Jewish communities, okay, well, first of all, Orthodox Jewish communities, nah, they're not ideologically captured. They're not crazy left-wing. They're, I would argue, very conservative compared to the rest of Jewish Americans. But, okay, maybe I'm just being picky right there. However, I wanted to clarify that. But, of course, when it comes to us looking at the facts, the overwhelming majority of Jewish Americans are left-wing. And, of course, there's many of you guys that are not left-wing. But when it comes to pushing the anti-white hatred, it's the leftist hot topic today to be pushing that on college campuses, to be pushing that in workplaces, to be pushing that everywhere. And so Elon Musk responds to, you have said the actual truth. The ADL unjustly attacks the majority of the West, despite the majority of the West supporting the Jewish people in Israel. That's absolutely true, 100%. This is because they cannot, in their own tenets, criticize the minority groups who are their primary threat. Kind of back to my point about the video that we just watched. It is not right and needs to stop. So really what we're seeing here, and I know a handful of people brought this up, but it's the oppressor versus the oppressed. It's that obsession among the left wing, and it's a part of college curriculum today. And it's been a part of that for probably the last 10 years, which is this anti-white, anti-Western oppressor versus the oppressed. Western is always going to be that white, Western country that is just by default the oppressor and the evil people. And so you have groups like the ADL that, you look up the definition of racism for the ADL, and ADL even adopts the radically left redefinition of the word racist, which is prejudice plus power. So you have a lot of these groups that are largely investing in these ideologies, anti-white, anti-Western. And I'll touch really quick on also college donors as well. Many major college donors in the United States are Jewish Americans. And we've seen them pulling out of, let's say, Harvard, right? Removing their funding because of the insanity that these left-wing students have been showing the country, which is their support for Hamas, being anti-Israel, tearing down hostage posters. A lot of these large Jewish donors are freaking out seeing this stuff. But where were they, right? And this is actually the point that Candace Owens was kind of bringing up recently. Where were they the last 5 years, 10 years, when the actual college curriculum has been anti-white, anti-Western? None of these things were issues. This wasn't a big secret. This is very clear. But none of these things were issues. And I think, look, when it comes to a lot of these Jewish donors seeing and being rightfully horrified by the students that these colleges are producing, a lot of people are kind of looking at this saying, you guys were joining the people that are producing these students. And I'm not trying to say it's all Jewish people, of course not. But it is a radically left-wing agenda. And a part of this radical left-wing agenda is creating students that look at the world this way. The oppressor versus the oppressed. Israel is automatically the Western, white-adjacent oppressor in the Middle East. And Gaza, Hamas, is the oppressed. So they've heavily invested in producing students like this. And those students have fallen in line for things like Stop Asian Hate, or even bigger, Black Lives Matter. Just jumping on board no matter what. It's the oppressor versus the oppressed. It's anti-Westernism at the very core. But now Israel has come into the mix. And this creation has completely backfired. So a lot of people look at this and they say, okay, well, ADL, you were a part of these movements, these very far left-wing movements. And I hope that a lot of people wake up. I hope that I brought up, I forgot the gentleman's name, the very large, very, very wealthy Jewish donor for Harvard that pulled out his funds. And there's been countless that have done stuff like this all across the United States for multiple colleges. But I wonder if they've seen this, because these people are obviously liberal. they're very liberal people. I wonder if they see this and actually are waking up to the creation, right? These radical left students, they certainly drew the line at students praising Hamas and being anti-Israel. But are they actually waking up to the major issues at play here? I was talking to a Jewish friend of mine recently and just talking to him about some of his cousins and stuff. And it's like, they're living in New York City. Have they woken up to this? Because they were very far left. Have they woken up to this? Are they going to step away from the left wing? And I'm really curious to see how many do. How many actually see what was at play here? Anybody that is left wing that's been, investing in that idea of anti-Westernism and seeing it coming back to completely bite them. I'm referring to maybe more Jewish Americans. I'm curious how many are waking up. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Elon Musk's response here. I'm really curious. I want to know if you guys thought, because this is what set it over the edge. This was what the big deal. This is why X is anti-Semitic. Because he's saying, well, the ADL is unjustly attacked in the West, despite their majority of their support. Do you guys think that this is worth the backlash? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that bell notification button so you're notified next time I post. I'll catch you all in the next video.